252.
Hey, welcome to another episode of 252. Frank G here, along with
Johnny Blaze.
And Coolwater Kurt.
Now, see, that was the announcer voice we were talking about. This week, we're going to take a look back at 2018, all the good stuff and bad stuff, and mostly the nerdy stuff. So, who wants to kick this one off?
Well, we're looking through the 252 files, and we're going all the way back to January when we came back after a break, and we were talking about the 2018 Academy Awards, like the big surprises and the recognition of some of our things, like, you know, Logan, X-Men characters, and we were coming out, and this was all before Black Panther, actually, because we were all saying at that time, we were talking about, when is it going to be a time where they actually take one of our comic book movies that we love so much and actually really give it something? Not like in Suicide Squad where they got nominated for like whatever it was, sound or makeup or something like that, but actually get nominated for like Best Original Picture, Best Actor, you know. And now it seems a year later after that, we actually have a legitimate chance of one of these Marvel movies or comic book movies actually winning.
Well, I don't think they're necessarily being left out, because I was very surprised when Return of the King got the Academy Award for Best Picture. Mm-hmm. I think they are looking at the fan base movies. It's just
there was a time where they said that they're going to they actually did add a category, and we talked about it a few months ago.
What was it? Best Popular Movie?
Yeah, Best Popular Movie.
Yeah.
Because they were like, okay, we'll
like, what
make
does
this.
that even mean?
Yes, it's like...
Shouldn't that just automatically be the movie that made the most?
I mean, it's like, yes, that movie was really popular. Everybody liked it and everybody saw it. It made a lot of money. But this art house film was really smart and good. It didn't make any money, but it's the best movie, so it wins Best Picture.
Yeah,
no one saw it.
No one saw it. Oh, what was that movie Michael Keaton did? The Birdman.
Yes,
wow.
Yes. You didn't like that one?
What a waste of life. I wish I could get that 2 hours back.
The Legend of, I can't even remember the title of it. I saw it. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that was.
But I was like, hey, man, it got him the Vulture. So
yeah,
that movie got him the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. That's what I'm saying. Earlier this year, we also talked about Ronda Rousey agreeing to have a WWE contract, and that she was going to possibly make her debut at the Women's Royal Rumble. And she ended up really making a big splash when she came in. And she actually had a little fight with Triple H and did all the stuff. And they actually put her over real big. And she was insanely popular throughout 2018 up until literally just recently.
And we also talked about Vince McMahon trying to resurrect the XFL. Oh my goodness! What a bad.
Is he still working on that? I heard that it's still coming, right?
Well, they were really trying to move on the unpopularity across the country with the NFL, with the kneeling and stuff like that. And a lot of fans were falling out of favor with the NFL. They were talking about how low ratings were and stuff like that.
Somehow they were going to turn to the XFL for a respectful look at the game.
Yes, but as everything does happen, you get to the end where in fall of 2018, the NFL kicks off and the NFL is just fine.
Yeah. It just makes you think, I remember watching the XFL and it was just in such bad taste. And a lot of things that made them different from the NFL is what reason why they failed. Just a little thing, like I got in an argument, they said, if you're receiving the ball, you can't signal a fair catch in the XFL, they can just grill you.
Yeah.
And I got into an argument with someone, I said, what if your favorite player, the player you tune into every week, is receiving the ball and he just gets crushed and his career ended because of a stupid rule change?
Well, I understand that, but then the other thing I want to say, because I don't want to get too sportsy, because we'll definitely lose Frank, but they have changed special teams and the kickoff and where they're kicking off from, because it really was at one point a very boring part of the game. The only thing I want to say this in the end with the XFL is the one thing that the NFL did take from the XFL, which a lot of people forget, was the sky cam that now is heavily used in the NFL. They didn't use that before. They all only used was sideline cameras and then the far off, like.
Well, they had strung cables across the.
Well, that's what the XFL did, and now the NFL does it. That sky cam that comes across where you get that beautiful shot coming down in, all that stuff. They're whipping that around. That came from the XFL.
Well, that's a big difference. I mean, when the AFL joined the NFL, AFL had a color man in the booth, which before the NFL just had an announcer.
What was it?
1st and 10.
Yeah.
I formation. That's all you heard. And you were watching. They had the different camera angles. They filmed it in color. And they put the players' names on the back of their jerseys. So it was a big... AFL had probably the most contribution making NFL the most watched sport in the country. But I don't think we took much from the XFL other than how not to do this.
Yeah, like I said, they took production value, and that was it.
There was one, again, staying sportsy for a second. Just recently, Dana White kind of went off on Oscar De La Hoya because Oscar De La Hoya promoted this big MMA fight. It was kind of a farce. His whole production wasn't really that good, and then the main event fight was basically watching an old man get beat up, and it really wasn't that great. And with that being said, you got people who are really good at what they do. Like if you wanted to be a promoter and you want to stick in your lane with boxing, be a boxing promoter. It's kind of like Vince McMahon. You do great with what you do with the WWE. When you step outside of that, you can't use that same formula that you used that made the WWE successful for everything else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what Oscar De La Hoya tried to do, because in boxing, you have basically you have your main card fight, you have an undercard, and your prelims, nobody really knows who they are. Well, what the UFC has done is they make exciting fights going all the way up. So even if the main event isn't that exciting, you probably got some really good fights, some entertaining fights before that. And that's what the average MMA fan is looking forward to. I'm just saying all that to say, I hope the XFL stays dead.
Yeah.
I think we should talk more about this
than anyone else in the country at the time it was happening. Oh, wow.
What else?
Well, it's like you got to tell him to stay in his lane. That's basically what you're saying. Do what you do.
Yeah. Also, in the month of March, we also were talking about kind of sad news that Kevin Smith had a heart attack. Good thing about it is he survived the heart attack, and if you look at him now. If you look at Kevin Smith, December 2018, and Kevin Smith, December 2017, completely changed, I think he was somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 and something pounds in December, and now he's a svelte, he might even...
Had he gotten big again? And he was small for a while, and started getting big again. Now he's got to be thin for sure, because otherwise it could kill him now.
Yes, because he said that he was, I think he went vegan and he's doing all the yoga and he did a complete life change, not just dieting, just changed, his life.
Well, I'm glad. Best wishes to him, and hope he lives a long time and produces a lot more movies and comic books.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I would have to say, probably like his last 2 or 3 movies I didn't see. To be honest, the last last Kevin Smith movie I saw was Red State, which I thought was good. I really enjoyed Red State.
Yeah, I can't. I think the last movie I saw of him was Jay and Silent Bob, whatever.
Yeah, and actually they're filming right now the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah.
Now they're doing the Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie, which he actually said is funny because, you have to reshoot because now since he's lost so much weight, he's not heavy anymore, so he can't be like the fat Silent Bob.
So just write it in as Bob loses weight over the course of the film. You know?
That would be funny.
What happened to you, you fat
Snoochie boochies.
Well, on a sad note, we also talked about the San Bruno shooting. There are 5 employees, gunfire rang out at the YouTube's headquarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of how many last year?
Yeah, too many last year.
The one that we did at the end of, I want to say it was 2017. We actually talked about it on last week's show when we were talking about what happened in Vegas. And with the whole thing with the mass shootings, it's like, I don't want to be numb to them, but there's so much. And someone put, again, I wish I could credit this right. I think I saw it on Instagram or something. There was a post out there, and it had the stats of all the mass shootings that's happened in the last 5 years, and it had the death toll of all the people that have died in these mass shootings. And he goes, and then romaine lettuce had 4 people died, and they did an immediate recall of all the lettuce off the shelf. And it was just it's like, come on. It's like, if anybody, you get a case of people are dying from this, we got to do something about it. And you have to act fast.
Well, I don't want to go too far into politics, but you got rights versus privileges and allowances, and owning a gun is a right, and it's nothing short of a constitutional amendment to change it.
Right.
So it's
if you
like
look into
every
the problem,
time,
though, to see what changed, it wasn't really there was plenty of guns around when we were kids, but we didn't take them and start shooting people. What changed is that the culture around them, everybody, the lack of respect for human life has gone, skyrocketed. Basically, we might punch somebody, but we were never going to kill somebody. Yeah, it wasn't a thought. And now they're like, "I'll kill you right away." It's like the first thing that comes to mind. It's weird.
Yeah, not to make a joke out of it, but Chris Rock said it best. It's like, raise the price of the bullets.
Yeah,
right.
I heard another comedian, I wish I remember who it was. He said, go back to the old flintlocks. So you got to put the powder in and then put the...
Hold on, I'm going to shoot your ass in about 3 minutes.
That right there, that would give you the time to calm down, basically, and that's what that used to provide. So, I want to shoot you. Well, I guess I don't want to shoot you as much as I did 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, now it's like I got time to calm down. Now that we're rolling into the second quarter of the year in May, we were talking about the 2 women that had a relationship with R. Kelly, and now
we were beating on R. Kelly. There wasn't enough people.
Yeah, because he was saying that they weren't kidnapped. They can come and go as they please. But the families was trying to get out.
Well, remember, kids, don't pee on them. Don't pee on people. Okay? That's our Kelly service message for the day. Don't pee on other people. Pee in the toilet.
They even threw some anti-R. Kelly stuff into the last episode of Blackish. I'm like, okay, so now everybody hates R. Kelly now at this point.
He's still the king of R&B.
You know what I want to hear about? We talked about Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter reuniting for Bill and Ted. When is that new?
Well,
Bill and
Keanu
Ted
is incredibly busy, so Alex Winter is going to have to wait until he
Alex Winter has been waiting for 20 years.
I believe it was nearly 27 years when we
did the show. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, did you hear that I said the report today was Keanu wants to play Wolverine in the MCU?
Shut up.
Like, that is not a good choice.
That is a very bad choice.
Yeah, I mean, I love you as John Wick.
Bub.
Yeah. I mean, I don't love you for your acting chops.
Yeah, he might be able to pull off Gambit with the coat and such, but otherwise I wouldn't put him in there for anybody.
I don't know what happened to Keanu Reeves. It's like sometime between Devil's Advocate and what's the new movie? What's the name?
John Wick.
John Wick. He got white and fleshy and kind of looks sickly to me.
Well, he got older.
I know he got older, but man, he's like taking on Boris Karloff features.
He's yeah.
Or are they just coloring the movies that much? Like they put a lot of heavy blue and green tints on things.
I think in those John Wick movies, they definitely make him look. What's that word I'm looking for? Not shallow, but
pale.
Yeah, with his cheeks, his sunken cheeks and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But with the beard and everything. But he's supposed to look like he's been getting his ass kicked for 90 minutes straight, you know.
He looks like I don't know, he looks like he's got some terminal disease or something.
Or maybe he's too thin. Yeah, that'll make you look like that.
Yeah.
Eat a burger, Keanu.
Or they're making him thin. He gets thin for the role. And he usually likes to walk around at a more, thicker, healthier weight.
Plenty of snacks at the Circle K, Ted.
So where are we at now, JB?
We're at May 31st right now.
May 31st. Oh, May 31st. We were talking about the Solo movie.
Yes.
And that was pretty much the first really, really disappointing Star Wars movie.
You know what? I like the
loved
movie.
it.
I like the movie, but I liked it when Lando appeared.
Yeah.
From that point on,
Those are the best.
I didn't think the beginning was done very well.
I
thought
like
it was rushed.
I felt like the pacing of the movie was like a catastrophe.
Yeah.
I felt like I felt like this, like, oh wow, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Really fast.
Yeah, that's what I felt. And then it slowed down to a
Now
normal
go watch
pace.
episode 4 and see the exact same thing happen. Boom, 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 boom. All this stuff that you don't understand if you've never seen it happen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a Star Warsy thing. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
I liked it better than
movie.
Rogue One, and I liked Rogue One.
Yeah. But it did not make $1 billion.
No,
it was expected to.
I think it was timing is why it didn't, because it's doing well on video and such. So, releasing it right after Avengers and Deadpool, like boom, 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 and 3 in a row was probably, if they didn't put it out right now, they'd have been up against, Aquaman and Mary Poppins, and I think they'd have done better.
Well, I understand why the movie industry does it. They're going for the big bucks. But you take a movie like Solo, didn't make $1 billion. It still made a hell of a lot of money, and it's still making money.
Well, I think Solo was the first it did not hit its projection.
No, I was looking at it. It didn't hit the projected.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, it didn't
They shot it twice, basically. That cost double.
It was the most expensive Star Wars movie to date, but it's still.
I think it didn't make its money back. I think that's
profit.
I don't think it did. I don't think it did profit.
Well, you got to look at the worldwide box office. I think it did not a huge amount.
Well, at this point, we're probably going to have a graphic that shows exactly what happened.
Because you were giving me a lot of flack about Justice League. Justice League in this country didn't do well, but it did very well worldwide.
And yes, but and that was kind of like a conversation that me and Frank kind of had. We were talking about if you got the writers and the talent from DC, and then they went over to the MCU, and then the writers and the talent from the MCU went over to DC, do you think those DC movies would have been better or worse?
I think the DC movies are darker. They definitely took on a darker overtone. I don't think they were as geared as the Marvel movies for younger audiences. There's a lot of reasons why a lot of people didn't see those movies, and I think they're learning some hard lessons. They need to go back to the lighter superhero movies like the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. They do something in that
I kind of feel like that, and what you're saying right now is kind of like what they're doing, because you can already tell by Aquaman, it's really bright. They're bringing back the colors. They're bringing back everything. From the trailer that I saw, Shazam.
And Shazam, of course, is geared towards kids.
Yeah.
Aquaman would be pretty murky and not very watchable if it was not bright and colorful. It needs to look like, the underwater magical land.
Right. But you say that, but in Justice League, he was in darker tones.
Oh, was it? Okay, yeah, I didn't even watch it.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying
if Aquaman doesn't look at least as impressive as the underwater crap from episode 1, then they have a serious problem. But all the videos that I've seen look great. So I don't like
looking at
Aquaman,
it.
but
Yeah, I was
cool.
like this. He didn't even like when in Justice League. I was like, man, this ain't even Aquaman. This is you know, who is this guy?
Well, I've always loved the character. I know he's a ripoff of Namor, but back then everybody was ripping off from everybody.
We go there.
Yeah, he is. It's true.
I know.
The only thing he doesn't share with Namor is the ability to fly.
We actually could do a show of either who did it first or who did it better between DC and Marvel, and you can keep going all the way to the biggest joke is the Deadpool and Deathstroke that they even play up to this day, which is obviously Slade Wilson and Wade Wilson. Come on, it's an obvious. I'm completely copying you, but I'm doing it better
and adding more pouches
and definitely adding more pouches. But what was I gonna say? Oh, and where I was saying with the whole, if you just swapped them out, the DCEU and the Marvel with creative and stuff, I personally felt like a lot of it had to go with Warner Brothers studio execs putting their and what I'm backing it up with is Joss Whedon had a very successful, two Avengers movies. Mm-hmm. Then he goes over with the Justice League, and it's like you can tell that he was hamstringed. Yeah, what he was trying to do.
Well, these characters are very old. They've made a lot of money for a lot of years, and DC is definitely going to have a lot of input on what you can and cannot do on the screen. And anytime I think a corporation comes in and kind of puts a chokehold on the artist, you're not going to get as good of a product.
Yeah, and I think that's why I feel with the and I said, even to make my point, it's like when you take the property like Spider-Man, and you let the Marvel Studios, hey, let us work with you on this, Well, you get Spider-Man.
You mentioned something interesting though. When you look at Spider-Man and the rest of the Marvel universe, just the characters business-wise, toys and comics and clothes and all the merchandising. Spider-Man's probably, I would say, the only character that ranks up and even beats characters like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They're icons, and Spider-Man's an icon.
Hands down, from his creation, 5 years into his creation, he was already challenging the other guys.
But I don't think you can name another character in Marvel that ranks up there with that kind of earning power, other than Spider-Man.
Wolverine
what would you
is
think,
close,
Frank?
but he's faded because of the X-Men movies they've been making.
Yeah, I would say
and Hulk, same thing. Hulk used to be up there, but his movies have not been great, and people have lost interest.
Yeah. And I was saying only because of the movies, you would probably get. I remember. All of a sudden, everybody was making a big deal about Iron Man, and I was like, Iron Man? It was like Iron Man, but
with his transistor-powered arm.
I know, but now at this point, it's hard to know where Robert Downey Jr. ends and Tony Stark begins, and vice versa. Because when he's out in the streets, Robert Downey Jr. is like Tony Stark 24/7.
I mean,
or is Tony Stark now Robert Downey Jr.
This is way off tangent. Think about Halloween. We see kids walking down the street dressed as superheroes. Before the MCU movies, you would never see the Hulk or Iron Man or Captain America. It was Spider-Man. You always saw Spider-Man, and then you saw people dressed up as DC heroes. Right. It's like this merchandising.
I swear I saw 20 Black Panthers. And I didn't think I'd ever live. I didn't think I'd ever live in a world where you can even get a Black Panther costume for Halloween, much less a whole bunch of Black Panther costumes with little white necks. You're like, oh my god, that's great. That is awesome.
But when I was a kid in the 70s, you remember I think there was Spider-Man and Hulk, because they used to always have they had the stretchy dolls. It'd be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, and Hulk. Yeah. Nobody cared about Captain America.
And the X-Men really didn't get their true popularity until like the 80s.
They got in the 80s, yeah. Well, the X-Men started getting huge around 1980, actually, so
what's funny is, when you look at the Hulk, I mean, he really appeals to children, that character. Kids love Hulk smash.
Yeah.
But it's just something unique about that character. Something about it reaches out and grabs kids, and they love to see him busting through walls. But Spider-Man is Batman, Superman. Those are, I don't even know how you would label them. They're their own industries, you know.
Icons.
Basically, they're actually a brand in themselves.
And I think that's why the DC movies don't have the freedom that the Marvel movies do. When they sat down and did Iron Man, there was no chokehold put on before they made the movies. They made the best movie they could.
Nobody cared.
No interference.
No interference. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sure, but this you're talking about a place where they're also responsible for Superman 3 and 4. You know, they used to not care at all. And Superman had rebuild the Great Wall of China vision that shot blue lasers that built a wall.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on? You know?
Where did all these powers come from? Now we're going to go ahead and jump into the summer of 2018, and we were talking ad nauseum about Build-A-Bear shuts down for a single day because they had their whole pay your age sale, and they had no idea it was it was so successful. It was an ultimate failure. They had to go home. We have no more Build-A-Bears. Yeah. Lines and angry parents that had been sitting sometimes 4, 5, 6 hours in line and then weren't able to get a Build-A-Bear. And then they had to change. I believe they ended up changing their marketing strategy to something like it had to be your birthday. And then you would pay
your age.
Yeah. On your birthday, you can come in and pay your age. I believe that's what they finally did it instead of just, how old are you? $5? You know?
Well, you know, with small business, you can't go in and also, even if, of course, they were losing money because they did the pay your age. That wasn't a wise move, but but like you would think it would be their lucky day if someone walked in and said, "I'll buy everything on the shelves." They can't do that because that one customer leaves, and then you got a dozen angry customers. There's nothing for them to buy, and they took the time to come over. Yeah. So there's definitely a balance, and they did not stay in balance on that one. Oh, that's depressing.
Yes, that is depressing.
Yeah,
that was the bad idea in general. Somebody missed a zero in a column when they were doing that one.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. And also on that same show, we also had talked about Netflix had dropped Glow season 2, and I
didn't watch first season. I'm not into wrestling.
Yeah, well, it's more than just wrestling. I mean, I feel like these ladies, they do a really good job. Not only do they have a lot of nostalgic bits that really tug at the heartstrings when it comes to the 80s, they do a lot of like little background things and stuff like that really makes you feel like you're actually watching this show in the 80s. And then there was an episode where probably one of my favorite episodes where the whole thing, they were doing like the skits from the Glow TV show, like the actual Glow TV show. They had a bunch of skits, and then they would let the girls wrestle. Skit, girls wrestle. Skit, girls wrestle. And there was this one show was just all of those skits, and it was just good because I remember being a kid, and I guess because on the show they were like they got moved from like Saturday morning, in a good time slot to like 2 a.m.
Oh,
it's
wow.
like, this is where you die at 2 a.m. Yeah. And they said, F it. We're going to be at 2 a.m. We're going to do what we want to do. And basically what happened is the show, it kind of blew up from there. But on the show, they kind of changed it a little bit because they want to have more seasons of the Glow show, which I don't even know. I believe at this point they have been signed on to do Glow season 3.
Oh.
Yeah, it's almost ready.
Yeah.
And they're already making. It should be probably in like March or April.
Yeah.
They're putting out a Glow comic book, based on the show, and not the show within the show, but based on the Netflix show. It's supposed to be stories that aren't being told, that fit in with what's already been shown.
Oh wow.
Well, in August we talked about the Wu-Tang Clan. After 25 years from their debut, we're still going strong. One of the most respected groups in hip hop, and
now consisting of over 300 members.
None of them use
So when they're on
names.
stage, they outnumber the audience.
Well, also in September, we mentioned Colin Kaepernick as the face of Just Do It. Talked a little bit about him and didn't want to get heavy into politics.
We didn't want to get heavy into politics, but even Coolwater Kurt participated in the meme of himself in the Colin Kaepernick way and put that out there, and all the memes that were going out. Because in that, I think that campaign was even, but you know, it's a lot. It's like, you know.
Well, one neutral thing I can say about Colin Kaepernick, it's undisputable. He is a great protester. Protesters, by definition, provoke a response. And he, whether you agree with it or not, whether you liked it or not, he provoked a hell of a response.
Yeah.
So that makes him a very effective protester.
Yeah. And some people say he's still blackballed. And because there's people who are getting jobs.
Oh, he's never going to work again. Not in that field.
Yeah.
You know, just because anybody will say, "Oh, well, we don't want to take the risk," you know. So,
they said,
but I think he's going to be just fine financially, though.
Yeah, I think they said Vince McMahon would hire him for the
For
XFL.
WrestleMania.
No, for the
there you
XFL. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's about 2 people who watch that. Yeah, we also talked about the funeral of Aretha Franklin and how Pastor Williams spoke on the state of Black America and how it's lost its soul, and this was an inappropriate place.
Yeah, that was
There was a
also
couple
the
of
moment where
inappropriate
Pete
things
Davidson
that happened.
probably lost the rest of his life, you know, because he's looking pretty suicidal, and I think that day was the day it started going downhill. Because that was the interference with about Ariana's dress, and then he was there looking all awkward and stuff because he didn't want to be that big a celebrity, and now he's where he is. So I think that day, that at the time we didn't know, but back then I think that might have set some events in motion. Hopefully not. I hope he solves this shit.
And the other thing we saw, I think it was Bill Clinton and somebody else, and they just kept checking out Ariana Grande. While she
There was one of the
like,
reverend that was there kept checking her out. That it had to be.
Yes, I like that. Yeah, and the other one, he grabbed some side boob.
Come on, they're all human.
Yeah.
They're human.
She's cute. So, and I do remember Michael Coulter, the guy who plays Luke Cage, he was like, wow, that reverend. He said, I guess when you're in that situation, you got to shoot your shot. And then he got backlash, of course, on Twitter. They were like, oh, you incensed, because it's like.
It's clearly joking, yeah.
In October, we talked about how Luke Cage was on the chopping block.
Yeah, Iron Fist and Luke Cage were both dropped by Netflix. Those shows were canceled. And then a couple weeks or a month after that, they canceled Daredevil. And it was just kind of like, wow, man, it's all these really good shows. And then, there's the 2 schools of thought. Is it they want to be beholden to those 13 episodes because Marvel gets paid more for the 13 episodes. Netflix wants to cut it down to 8 episodes because they don't want to pay. When they originally made the deal was heavily in Marvel's favor.
Yeah.
Because Netflix wanted to get subscribers, they wanted to pull in, and those movies are as popular as they are on the big screen. Hey, you have this world on the small screen. And when it first opened for it, Jessica Jones was winning awards. Daredevil was really good. They dropped that first season of Luke Cage. It shut down the Netflix servers. Mm-hmm. They all crashed. Everybody tried to get it. Yes, in the honeymoon phase, it was all great. 2-3 years later, Netflix wants a bigger piece of the pie, because now when we're talking about Netflix, they're more than just a streaming service. You have to almost bow down to the fact that Netflix has legitimately put their hat into the ring as a production studio, or even a network studio at this point. It's
well. You know what? I'm still holding out hope for Power Man and Iron Fist.
Yeah, Heroes for Hire.
I would love to see a show. I think it would do great, but like you said, is Marvel going to give them their due?
I think Marvel definitely will give them their due. it will just be on that Disney Plus streaming service that you would get for $14.99 or whatever the price is. I have no idea.
Or they'll make a movie. They might fold some of those. I bet you they'll recast both of those guys, but I bet you they'll fold those characters.
You think?
They'll probably leave Jessica Jones out. She's not going anywhere.
Well, that's what we said about Daredevil.
I think they could bring Power Man and Iron Fist, and Daredevil will probably show up in the Marvel Universe somewhere.
November, we talked about our favorite 80s snacks that we don't see anymore. We talked about candy, cigarettes.
And it's so funny. I felt like that was a really fun show.
It was. We had Simply Angela.
There's still a second. There's a second part waiting to go.
It's funny too. I was thinking about that too. There should be a second part of that because I remember that show and I really wanted to have some snacks after that. I actually gained a lot of weight after that show. I've been snacking my ass off.
Find and eat one of everything. Huh?
Funny too because I was sitting there with a zinger. And it was like this big. And I'm like, you got to tell me. Zingers were, I know I was a kid, but weren't these bigger? This is like a Tic Tac.
Yeah, that was, we talked a little bit about, remember the Batman cereal and the Star Wars cereal had the big giant bank?
Yeah.
One was Darth Vader, one was Batman or to that effect. You don't see those kind of prizes with cereal.
That stuff was all cool. They don't give us prizes at all anymore. I mean, we're very rare.
Just my 6-year-old is falling in love with Miles Morales. Like that's turning into his Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So we went to the store and we bought Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And the reason why I had to buy Cinnamon Toast Crunch because you can get decals for Miles Morales. And he was like, Miles Morales. And I'm like, all right, a Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And he had to get it family size so he could get because that's the one that the decals were in.
And now he has to keep the decals sealed and good condition.
Yeah.
No, I probably stuck them on something.
Yeah, I think he stuck them right on his door. I love this.
Yeah, exactly. I see they have Into the Spider-Verse Happy Meal toys right now too, so I might have to try and get a Spider Ham and actually I want them all.
I want them all. I want to collect them all.
I want them all, but I don't want to eat McDonald's.
In my review, I talked about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I really liked it. I know Ralphie saw it, and I know he liked it. Did you see it, Frank? I think I saw it through.
Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
We saw it in 3D. Probably the best 3D I've ever seen.
I should have saw it because when I saw it in 2D, it actually sometimes you can tell a movie's made for 3D because and even in 2D, I can see that this is supposed to be a 3D, scene.
Yeah,
like the way, and I bet it just pops right off the screen, like they're right there.
You know how usually there's like a couple layers of stuff? This had about 50 layers.
Yeah, I
could
tell by looking at it.
From every.
I think I got to go back.
Like every layer that they drew in had its own 3D level. It was very cool.
And I like the way with the coloring that they did. It looked like old comic books, like because it was like the dot, like not just
the dithering and stuff.
Yeah.
I was actually nervous. We went there, and here's the interesting thing: the theater that we saw it in at the AMC theater, big place. The room we were in sat 40. It was capacity 40. There were 4 rows of like 10 seats, and so I always buy in the back, so I'm not looking at the screen from too close because I don't want to get motion sick and stuff. So we're in the very back row of the theater, and I can still just about reach out and stretch, and it looks like I can touch the screen, like it's right in my face. Yeah. And then 3D on top of that, I said, man, I'm going to be sick in like 5 minutes. Yeah. But the way they had it done, it was just, it was
because I could tell you the reason, other than the sheer expense of taking my family to go see an IMAX 3D movie, which hurts the pocket something terrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's too much. Infinity War was too much information to process. Like I'm looking at all these little things. Like it was great. But I enjoyed both versions. Like I saw it in 2D and I saw it in 3D.
Well, I'm glad I saw that first Guardians of the Galaxy in the theater because when the Nova ships joined up to make that net, I thought that was one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen on the big screen.
Yeah,
just amazing.
The way they do it, I mean, hey, it's better than Creature from the Black Lagoon. Ooh!
I watched Friday the 13th 3D the other day, and it's like every single 3D part was so obviously, set up as a prop just to be, here's 3D for you.
Or even better, when the girl is watching the movie, she's like, this 3D sucks, and she gets punched right in the face. Wow! I believe that was Bachelor Party when they were doing this massive fight scene that went all through wherever they were.
I don't usually see the 3D movies. I've seen a couple movies in 3D. It usually gives me a headache.
It gets I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm getting older now. I can't. It's too much going on. It's too much to process.
Now I don't know. I know you're getting older, but if you can remember back to December of this year, we did a show on talked about Shang-Chi being the first Asian protagonist on Marvel Studios. The Hands of Shang-Chi.
How did they pull that off? Because for a while they couldn't even reprint Master of Kung Fu because they didn't have the rights to Shang-Chi and some of the other characters.
I have no idea they pulled it off. I remember Shang-Chi. He was drawn by Michael Golden in a lot of his issues. I was a huge fan of Michael Golden. And you look at the cover and it's great art. You open it up, it's the same art inside.
Yeah.
And how many comic books today can you say are like that?
Yeah. Don't judge a book by its cover.
That's right. But you can with Shang-Chi. Hands of Kung Fu?
I don't remember.
Master of Kung Fu.
Yeah. They might have had Hands of Kung Fu if they did that as a magazine. It seems like they might have done that too.
To go back to what you said, Frank, I can't answer that question, but if I was to guess, you have a market that is ready. You have a market that is completely ready for this Asian American, as a protagonist.
Sure.
So you have that ready. You have the success of recent Marvel movies. Now, they've been doing their thing for 10 years, and you can argue up and down. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. But recent success, the movies that Marvel Studios dropped this year, where you're talking about starting out with Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp. You talk about that progression going into it. Yeah, you start looking and, people are getting really excited going into 2019 with Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel dropping first. Avengers Endgame, they just signed a director who's now going to do Doctor Strange 2. Ryan Coogler's coming back with Black Panther 2. We just got to find out how does Black Panther live in Endgame, because it's $1 billion. They're not just going to leave that on the table.
It's Adam Warlock? Adam Warlock. I mean, this isn't a spoiler. It was at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. You saw the cocoon for Adam Warlock, and she even said, "We will name him Adam."
Yeah.
And he's the one in the comic books who saved the day in the Infinity War.
Yes, I don't think he's going to come in Endgame. I think they're going to. It's going to be Captain Marvel. How? I don't know.
That would be so ridiculous. So it's almost as ridiculous
she could bring him
of having the Infinity War without the Silver Surfer.
Well,
the whole thing started in his comic.
Where is the Silver Surfer? But he's stuck with the Fantastic Four.
Look, this is the thing about going back to what I said earlier about having the suits as opposed to creative. You're in a situation where, okay, you know the content, you know the storyline, you have to do this, but you know what? We don't have the rights to these characters.
Yeah.
The difference with DC and Warner Brothers, they have the rights to all their characters. Yeah. They don't have to do the concessions and change things up and make other people do the way that Marvel Studios does. That's why they should be towering over. They should be better at it because they have all of their toys in their toy box to play with. They don't have the big bully down the street took half their stuff, and now I got to use this Barbie guy over here to make this work.
Well, I mean, they've got the money. I'm sure they could have paid. Who has Fantastic Four?
They own it now.
Well, yeah, now.
I know.
You're right. Now they
have it.
Now they do.
Just make amends for leaving out the Silver Surfer.
Now they could start to bring these things in.
They're going to retcon everything because, like we said last week, they've said their story for 10 years. They've said their story. So we're going to say bye to Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth. We're going to say bye to Scarlett Johansson. We're going to say bye to all these people. And then they're going to retcon now that they have all their other properties, and they're going to bring some stuff back. And we're going to have new heroes for the next 10 years to go through.
I hope they do a better Daredevil movie. I hope they do a better X-Men movie. I don't know. It's hard for me to get excited about Captain Marvel because same with Guardians of the Galaxy. I really did not like Miss Marvel. I thought they were terrible comics.
And yeah, the current Captain Marvel is like a character that didn't even exist really when we were kids. It existed in a different form.
Right, it was Rogue.
The one that yeah, right, exactly. She was stuck inside Rogue.
Well, for 5 minutes she was Miss Marvel, and then Rogue.
She was stuck. Yeah, she was stuck inside Rogue, and I always known Carol Danvers to be stuck inside Rogue, and then that's why Rogue can do all the stuff that she can do.
Yeah.
There's another who did it first, and in this case DC wins, but over on Supergirl we have Kara Danvers. Now over on Captain Marvel we have Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's not confusing at all.
And speaking of Supergirl, I know this is going to be a hard edit, and I know JB is going to say it's trash, and I'm not going to watch it. But what is it, Elseworld? I thought was really good.
I still have to watch that, but it looked like it was cool. Did they do Batwoman well and all that?
I'm going to say, yeah, costume-wise, I think they did well. Acting-wise, I was a little nervous because the actress herself, they kind of don't give her, because she's really cute, so they really kind of like, you can look at her, but she doesn't really say too much. And again, she didn't really say too much because it wasn't too heavy on her. They were just kind of introducing her, and I don't want to spoil anything, but they kind of make certain connections to things. And this is the first time in the 7 years that I've been watching the Arrowverse that they legitimately, hands down, said Batman exists. Here's Bruce Wayne. He's gone. Batman's gone. Huh? What's going on here? You know. And I do like the fact where it was like Oliver Queen. He's like, there's no such thing as Batman. He's like, it's a myth.
Even though Oliver Queen is almost best friends with Bruce Wayne in the comics. That's one of his best friends.
And to me, it's like, it's you know, because of DC being DC, they don't like to share their properties, but they allowed Superman and the guy who I want to say his name is Tyler Hornich or something like that. This guy does a really decent Superman. You know, I mean, he's not.
They're saying they might be giving him a show. There's rumors that Henry Cavill has been fired, and then rumors that he has not, and then they might be doing a Superman show, and they might not. I think WB is confused at the moment. They're probably weighing in the amount of money that Aquaman makes to figure out where they're going to go next.
Well, one of the dynamics I loved in the comics of Justice League, Batman being as dark and unsociable as he is, he really holds a few of those together because no one can stand Oliver Queen, because in the comics he's a holier than thou and judging everybody. And then you have Hawkman and Hawkwoman who are elitists, and he's actually friends with these heroes, and yet he's not very good friends with the rest of the Justice League, but he kind of holds it together. And that dynamic doesn't exist in the show.
Batman is the unofficial leader of the Justice League.
Yeah.
Sure. So you know it would be cool with all the characters they have now and Batman and such. They could do a show that's Batman and Shazam and Guy Gardner and do Justice League International. Bring in all those characters because they're starting to introduce most of them too.
As for that, I think that's all we have for our review show. Everything else is now we're rolling up onto current show signage. So Frank, do you have anything going out?
I do not.
JB?
Lethal Weapon is my favorite Christmas movie.
Yes. Well then, for Frank G and Johnny Blaze, I am Cool Water Curd saying always remember, if we're going to live together, we're going to have to be able to play together. The more colors, the more better. Peace and love must rule each and every time. Love knows no boundaries, and bullets have no names. Peace, wonderful year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, be safe, and we'll see you guys when we come back.
252. Adonis, pull yourself together.